I'm so excited to be here.
I like that we got the raspy voice in you.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. It's kind of sexy, but it's also kind of annoying.
Yeah, moms with raspy voices. That's sexy. That's a good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to announce today on Driving with Dave from season 16 of The Bachelor, the winner, whatever that means, and all-time greatest villain, Courtney Robertson. Hello.
The all-time greatest villain. That is such a nice intro. Thank you.
What's that dichotomy like, being a villain and a mom?
You know,
do you use that on your kids? Hey, I'm the villain now.
It's tricky. Yeah, I scare them all the time. So, but yeah, no, it's a weird title to have, and
you didn't know it was coming.
No, didn't know it was coming.
You were just being you.
Didn't know it was coming.
That's what happens.
What
right?
can you do? I mean, I was just trying to have fun and fall in love on TV.
How dare you try to be yourself out there?
I know.
So what's it like? And here's where I want to go. I want to go to motherhood and pre-Bachelor and kind of work our way right in between here, if you don't mind.
No.
So
I'm in the safe space.
You're in the safe space, right? And by the way, you did get the first car wash here. This is the first car wash of the Tesla Y.
Should we go through the car wash?
Look at the ceiling, right?
This is amazing. My kids would love this.
Yeah. You were a working model before The Bachelor came about. So how did we get into that world? How did you get into the modeling world?
So I worked at Abercrombie & Fitch because I got a speeding ticket and I was like, my mom is going to whip my butt. So I have to pay for traffic school. And it was like $300. So sorry for my voice. I got $300 speeding ticket. I made $5.25 an hour at Abercrombie. I was
$5.25 an hour.
Yes.
You have to specify.
Sorry,
$5.25 sounds like you're like crushing it.
It was like minimum wage at the time in 2001.
But it was all hot people.
Yes.
How many? You were all dating everyone after your shift's over?
I dated a guy at no, this is like before I got into modeling. I mean, I get this job and I get the 50% off the clothes.
Wow.
Which was Abercrombie & Fitch is expensive.
You just reek of the cologne.
Oh, my job was to go open the store and like you spray the cologne.
Okay.
And like on the clothes, like you have to that's part of your thing.
Yeah.
So then they did a casting, and I was a senior in high school for a modeling casting, and then.
Were you 18 at that point?
I was just turning 18.
Okay.
Yeah. And they booked me, and they said they did a casting at the store, and they said, well, you got to go to the British Virgin Islands in Tortola. It was my spring break at senior year, and long story short, the payday was $1,500 a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got to keep the modeling clothes for free.
Isn't that the fun part?
Yeah.
You get to keep the clothes.
Yes, and I had puka shells on.
So they found you originally in the Arizona. Is that where you were?
Yes, in the Arizona Fashion Square Mall. And I got the job because I had the speeding ticket, and then I wanted the discount on clothes, and I was studying to be a graphic designer. So for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like $1,500 a day, British Virgin Islands. Yes,
yeah.
Sign me up.
That's amazing. So from there, do you realize you got to get to Los Angeles, or like what was the next step from there?
Yes, I was with Ford in Arizona, and I went to 1 year of community college. My parents really wanted me to have that experience of like normalcy. And long story short, I moved to LA when I was 19, going on 20.
Okay. And
then Abercrombie had me back. They said, we want you to come to Rome. We want you to shoot with Bruce Weber. I did 2 shoots for them. And that was a big deal if you shot with Bruce Weber. There's a Netflix show, by the way, you got to watch it. He's a big deal. They're like, if you're shooting with Bruce Weber, he does Ralph Lauren, like, and that kind of gives you clout in the modeling world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they're like, this is like shooting with like the Picasso photographers.
So is that your first gig?
Yeah.
So your first
Beginner's
gig
luck.
is one of the bigger print gigs you could get, which is becoming an Abercrombie model. That was like the precursor, or maybe right.
You want to get on the bag. You want to get on the wall.
Yeah.
That was
black
before
and
they
white.
had that big, the nudity thing. They had all these nude catalogs.
Yes, they did.
So that was a big deal. Like, to do that and at that age. And I was like, oh, what am I doing?
Was it predatory, like when you got to LA, where, were you able to kind of sift through the bullshit of the industry? Because everyone's a photographer, everyone's trying to get you naked.
Oh yeah, I came in knowing like this is, I didn't have any Me Too stories, maybe with some actors later in life, but I knew what I was dealing with. But so that was a really good start for me, and it just kind of like fell into my lap. So
So that's how you got your start here. And then how long were you in Los Angeles before you got on the radar for The Bachelor?
I was about here for about 12 years, and then I did The Bachelor.
Okay, so you were a pro at that point.
Yeah.
You had already had you considered other reality TV?
I went to Sydney, lived in New York, Miami, New Zealand, and I did a reality show in New Zealand. It was like Treasure Island. It was like Survivor.
Oh, okay.
So most people don't know that. And so that was my first experience with reality TV. And I kind of realized like, it's not really that real. Like our first challenge was to like skydive onto the island. And when I landed on the island, they're like, the producer was like, we need more energy. And I was like, I don't know what just happened. They were like, we need excitement. And I'm like, I never want to do that again.
And was that just in New Zealand? That was just a New Zealand only show?
Yep. So it didn't see the light of day here.
But you were pretty big in New Zealand, apparently. Was that one of their big reality shows?
Yeah.
And how did you do on it? How far did you get?
I was the first to get eliminated.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
You're like, get the American out of here.
Yeah. So that was kind of how I moved here, and I had a blast. I mean, moved to LA when you were 20, modeling. They would like come to the clubs.
I was gonna say these club promoters get paid when they can bring hot women to the club,
and they're in bed with the modeling agency, so they're like, come, we'll get you a table. And like Justin Timberlake would be like at the next table over, Lindsay Lohan. I was in that phase.
That bubble, yeah.
When Britney Spears was like, I was at the club. It was cool. It was a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always one of those things. It's like it's fun until it's not. Was there a point where you're like, I'm over the club scene, or did it naturally?
And then I moved to the West Side. I moved to Santa Monica. I was like,
cat lady time.
Yep.
Just go over it.
Yep.
And it goes fast, that club phase, doesn't it?
It goes real fast.
I mean, it's like 1 second you're getting free $1,000 bottles of champagne. The next second you're
over
growing
it.
ficus or something.
There was a promoter, like you said, a promoter who was like, I would show up once in a while, and he's like, Courtney's like, like a shining, like a shooting star. You don't see her very often, but when she shows up, she's fun.
Yeah. So then you moved to the West Side. You're over the club phase. What was your rationale going into The Bachelor? And were you like a no-brainer? They were like trying to pull you in, or were you casting? What was the experience like?
So for me, it was kind of like let's just try something new. And they were right down the street from the NZK production was right down the street from my place. And they were like, come, I sent my application in. They're like, can you come in tomorrow? I'm like, oh shit. This is happening. And then I said, no, I can't do it. This is like, it was just kind of like a one-off.
Yeah, because you have to there's the fantasy suites, there's all the things that people look at, maybe not knowing the full depth of the show. And a lot of people just think the show is maybe more scandalous than it is. Like, was there like a morality thought going through your head? Or you just didn't want to necessarily be on a dating show and competing?
I didn't mind the competing part from the modeling world, but I would say I liked the guy. Like, I saw Ben and I was like, oh, he seems like a normal dude. Like, not an LA guy. He owns a winery. What? I love wine.
Yeah.
But it definitely was new for me. And I was like, maybe TV would be fun to try. I never wanted to be an actress. Never did an acting class. It very much felt like, let's just try it. If I don't like it, I can leave night one.
So that was your out.
Yeah.
Just going, all right,
I'll
I'll bounce.
Just try it. Like,
Had you ever competed for a man before? Because that's got to be what makes the show so interesting, is that you have women that essentially get to pick and choose their guy.
Yeah.
So was that the first time?
I mean, I think that like dating is kind of a competition. Like,
yeah, but if you walk in, you're going to the bottle service, you're
going
being
to the
pricked
club.
out, you're a model in Los Angeles.
You see all these celebrities, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean you're not going to get rejected once in a while, but I always say this to Tasha. It's like, Tasha doesn't know how to deal with rejection. She doesn't have game. She's beautiful. Like, people just talk to her.
I'd hate to say, but I always had game.
You always had game?
I always had game.
All right, so you had game.
I had game.
The modeling. So you were pretty much going in there with
like
weapons.
If I like him, I'm going to try to get him.
So what's the move if you like him? What's the game? The eye contact, playing with your hair?
Full, like, force. Like, just...
But you don't even know what this is the thing with women. Women don't even know what the force is. They just have it.
Right.
So you don't even know what it is. You just bat
eye contact.
Eye contact.
Physical touch.
Okay.
But what people don't see on the show is, like, there's a lot of times when you're not recording or filming, mm-hmm. and we would be in the airport, and, like, the girls would be off doing their thing, and I could see him, and I would be, like, making eye contact.
So you're putting in the work.
I would put in all the work.
Yeah.
I would grab his butt. I'd pinch his butt when, like, in between scenes. Like, I made it known that, like, I like you. And I did. And, like, it's like what you do when you like somebody.
You got to keep someone on the front burner.
24 other girls there. So I was like, you know. But I felt like when you go on a group date and then, like, everyone's worried about what they're doing, like...
The pleasantries.
Yes. And, like, how am I looking? Like, I put all my time into him, like, and focusing on him.
Is that how the infamous, what would you call it, strip...
the skinny
dipping, yeah, that's it. Is that how the skinny dipping happened?
I need to wet my whistle.
Concerted effort? Like, what goes into that? Because that was a big to do. Like, nobody had ever done it on the show. And we're talking America's broadcasting company here.
I have skinny dipped before. I've been to nude beaches in Hawaii. This wasn't new for me.
Oh, as a model? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
when
more
I did Abercrombie and Fitch at 20, I was naked in Rome the whole time.
Yeah, the Europeans, they're
yes.
Yeah, I studied abroad in France, and day one there's topless beaches, and I had to, like, cool myself down because I was, like, here from the U.S.
You were topless in the U.K.?
In France?
Oh.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I know, right? God forbid we show a little nipple out there. But it is, on TV in the U.S., it's obviously super conservative.
Very. And at that time, it was even more conservative.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
So
Whoopsie
did you
daisy.
think you were going to get backlash? And were you like, all right, now's the moment to do this? Or were you and him already flirting? Or like,
not at the time. I didn't know the backlash that we would get. I got slut-shamed for sure. And I was like, I just wanted to go swimming without a microphone on and, like, see, like, my thing going into that skinny dipping thing was, like, I was ready to leave. I was like, this, not my circus, not my monkeys, but I wanted to, like, have a little time with him off camera and check out everything,
So you were on camera for that?
Yeah, but we weren't mic'd.
Oh, okay.
So that was a little
A
workaround.
little workaround there. Was the camera ready for you, or did they have to, like, scramble a camera?
They were
like, oh, they're skinny dipping.
Oh, they knew it was happening. They had planned for it for 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So the camera was, like, way far away, but I forgot that they could zoom in. And so then the promo hits on Good Morning America the whole season, and I said, I'm not going to do this unless everything is blurred out. There were conversations.
How could they not blur it out?
And then the promo came out and it wasn't blurred out.
What do you mean it wasn't blurred out?
They didn't blur it out.
They didn't blur what out? Your body?
Nothing. Nada.
They let butts?
Everything.
What?
So I call ABC and I'm like, I'm pissed.
We had a deal.
Like, I told you I wouldn't do this unless everything was blurred out. And then they pulled the promo and then they blurred it out. But by that time, everybody had screen grabbed it.
Yeah, of course.
It was already
too little,
viral.
too late.
And it was like the girl that went naked and the slut shaming and the...
What year was this?
This was like 2012, 2011.
So
it was a different time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does slut shaming work back then? You have DMs, but they gotta find your Facebook. Like, this is...
I had my modeling website, so they would email me through my modeling website.
Oh, the effort.
Yes.
I mean, I do give people credit back in the day for, like, leaving death notes. It's like you had to find someone's address. Now we've made it way too easy for people. But how does it...
Oh, totally. But I don't post in real time. You know that.
Yeah. No one knows where we are.
No.
But that's something as a woman, you probably have to worry about that like a guy wouldn't. Like, don't
and
tag
I do
where
real
you're
estate,
at.
so it's like I don't ever play. Like, I'm doing an open house from 11. It makes it tricky sometimes.
That's what's crazy with stand-up comedy is, like, if I have any stalkers, they know exactly where I'm going to be.
How do you deal with that, Dave?
No one's...
Have you had stalkers?
I did, yeah. There's a few people.
Girls, men, both?
It's been women. And it's usually just a parasocial thing. They think they're closer friends with you because they've listened to you, and again, it's rare. But when you have, if 100,000 people have watched you, one or two might not understand the dynamic that's there.
I had people before I knew not to post in real time show up and be like, "I saw you were here," and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, but it never got to a dangerous place. Just spooky.
It did get dangerous for me at some point, and then I moved to Arizona. But yeah, I had somebody break into my place.
Oh my gosh.
I had multiple police reports filed, and...
What do you mean they broke into your place?
Yeah, so they cracked in through the window, and I wasn't there at the time, and there was money on the table. They didn't take anything, and there had been, like, this is the same stalker. I had, like, 2 incidents before that I reported, and outside my window, and Yeah,
Scary.
creepy, but I know, but nobody cares about that. But it was a little creepy as a single girl living in Santa Monica, having that happen, and then filing police reports and trying to take the steps to
because of a Bachelor fan.
I don't know. I mean, it could have just been a stalker.
Could have been an old-fashioned stalker.
It could have just been an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, it's like these men, they're just not trying hard enough, and then there you go. One guy breaks in and you got to go file a restraining order.
It was creepy.
It's never
I was
the guy
like,
you
I
want,
need to get
right?
a pit bull. Like, I was like, what do I do? And then I ended up moving back to Arizona. Not because of that, but I just was like, I can't live here anymore.
But how wild.
It was scary.
So when did you know, you said about your current, your husband, that
you know him. He's a solid dude.
Solid dude.
Love
I
him.
wouldn't mess with him.
No.
He's a big guy. He's got tattoos. I wouldn't mess with him at all.
He's a prosecutor.
Yeah. Don't prosecute me.
I'm always like, don't sue me. He's going to work. I'm like, don't sue me.
Tasha should be a prosecutor the way she catches me. Like, she'll try to catch me in a lie. I'm like, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to find on me? But anyway, you said in an interview that with him, you kind of knew right away you wanted to have a family with him.
Yeah.
But with Ben on season 16 of The Bachelor, you guys got engaged. Then kind of what happened after that?
So we were together for about a year, and it was like long distance. So me to San Francisco and back and forth. Mostly me going up there. Sorry, my voice is so hoarse. Dave,
No, you sound great.
do people know that I was celebrating my 40th today?
No, this is it.
Okay, good.
Is it today?
It's today.
Oh, happy birthday today.
Thank you. But we partied on the 4th, so it's not even that. It's just like I've been talking and talking loudly.
No worries.
So I'm like flying up there, and I'm trying to make it work. And
to wine country.
Yeah, he lived
Are
in
you
San
stomping
Francisco.
on the grapes with him? Are you doing all
did.
that? Yeah.
I literally woke up at like 4 a.m. to like help him with the grapes one day.
Sounds like a dream. Sounds like a dream to marry a guy who has a vineyard.
That's why I went on the show, Dave. I was like, normal guy, like lives in Sonoma. Yes, check.
I mean, Tasha wanted to leave me for Pilot Pete just because he flies a plane. I'm like, that's all it's going to take. You know what I mean? But like, yeah.
Like, I will get you on first class on Southwest.
Yeah. Hey, don't you want to be boarding Group B? So
I'm B12 tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
I love a B12.
You checked in early.
My husband did it. He's my IT guy.
There you go. So you fly to see him in San Francisco. And
about a year later, it was like, I will say that we were just fundamentally different. Mm-hmm. And it took a year of we really owe it to ourselves to try to date in real life. I love that Mercedes SL right there. My mom had one of those. But I just think that long distance is hard in the first place. Coming off the show, being the villain, all that. And then he got villainized too, because there were pictures of him kissing another girl before or after the final rose. And so I was villainized the whole time.
Wait, hold on. You had already broken up at that point?
No. We were kind of on a break before our finale. But photos came out of him kissing another girl.
Wow.
Right before or after the final rose.
And then you guys got back together?
And then I think he finally realized, wow, this is how Courtney has felt the whole time. No control, And then I was like, we owe it to ourselves to really try. So we did. We tried for a year, and I was talking about moving up there. He had a roommate at the time, and I was like, I lived by myself in Santa Monica. I'm like, I'm not going to move up here and live with a roommate.
The old girlfriend comes in and doesn't want to share toothbrushes. I get it.
Oh, and he was like, we'll split the rent in thirds.
Isn't he? I mean, isn't he wealthy if he's got a vineyard?
I mean, I know he made $90,000 to do The Bachelor.
90?
90.
And it's up to it's up close to 2 now, right?
Is it? I think everybody negotiates differently.
Yeah. But he was one of the, back then you didn't have to previously been on the show, right?
No.
There was a lot of
He was, though. He was the one that Ashley Hebert didn't pick.
Right.
But I'm just I think fundamentally we were just very different. And it's I hate to say it, any dating relationship, it takes time to get to know somebody. We had a lot of things in common. We had a lot of fun. We had I hate to say trauma bonding, but we had a lot, we were very connected in that way. We just went through this weird thing. But in real life, our lifestyles are very different. And they still are. He was way more social than me. And I remember he said to me once, because he saw my life in Santa Monica and I'm a model and I had a lot of downtime. And he was like, why don't you go out and do something dynamic today? And I was like, I'm going to go get my nails done. Yeah. This is my lifestyle.
I want to read a book.
Yes. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to, and
it takes a while to learn what's not going to work out in a relationship.
Right.
Right? Like, it's easy to be like, all right, we're into each other, looks wise, whatever, attraction kind of can happen right away. But then after a while,
and that was there. That wasn't an issue. I mean, to me, that's like pizza. It's usually pretty good,
Yeah, you can't mess up pizza.
You can't mess up pizza.
I'll eat 7-Eleven pizza.
I like deep dish. I like New York pizza. I like Chicago. It's just
pizza's like when you're dating, like I'll take home a 7-Eleven pizza. I just won't tell my friends about it the next day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They only get to know
that part
about
of
the
it
upper
was
crust.
fine, but it's like, but what, is this sustainable? And
Yeah.
we were very different, and I think that's also the Bay Area versus LA. Like, we're a little bit more chill down here, and I'm not knocking the San Francisco area. You can take this out, but it's just like a different culture.
Yeah, they're looking to disrupt the market, and you're like looking to just
go do something dynamic today. I'm like, I want to go to the beach.
Yeah. So you just had lifestyle differences.
Yeah, lifestyle differences, but then we did reconnect a year before I met my husband, and he was like, we actually tried to meet up again and see if it could work.
Try to date again?
Yeah. I wouldn't say date again, but we hung out like twice.
Dabbled. Put
After
your toe in the water.
He was mad about the book, and
because you had spoken about the relationship, and
we hadn't talked in years, and then I think the dust settled, and we went through this thing together, like we should hang out again, and like he called me on Christmas Eve or something, and it was like I hadn't heard from him in years, and he was like, do you want to meet in Santa Barbara? Like, I think that it's time. So we spent a weekend together in Santa Barbara, and Arie's season was airing the next day.
Okay, so at this point, you had
Sorry if I skipped ahead.
No, this is fine. At this point, you have already dated Arie.
Yes.
So let's sneak
and
Arie.
Arie and I are friends.
Let's sneak Arie into this. Arie's a Phoenix guy. You're a Phoenix gal. Greater Phoenix area.
Ben was an Arizona guy. He grew up in Tucson.
You Arizonians. So how did Arie get involved? How did you and him kind of meet? You break up with Ben. It's probably a big deal. People, the magazines talk about it, all that. Then Arie's like, hey, I'm in town, or what?
Oops, my bad. So I was escaping the paparazzi, so I came to Arizona to hide out in my parents' house.
So we're talking, this is fun though. This is paparazzi times.
Yeah,
There's no paparazzi anymore. So they're literally looking for you?
They're like outside my house. We announced our split, and I was loading my car. I said, hey, can you just hold off with your PR guy until I can get out of LA, because they're going to be all over me.
Right.
And then I'm loading my car to drive to Arizona, and they're all over me. And I took my ring off, and...
So he didn't give you the chance to get out of town?
No. And so I'm loading my Prius, and I'm like, I'm going to drive to Arizona and just hide out, like, left the ring in my apartment in Santa Monica, and then I got a DM.
Maybe the stalker was just Neil Lane trying to get in. Neil Lane's just
sorry,
like...
hit my mic. And so I drive to Arizona, and on my way there, I get a text, a DM Twitter from Arie that's like, I'm so sorry, because the press release went out.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm so sorry to hear about your breakup.
I'm sure
like,
he was.
And he's like, I'm coming to Arizona. I was like, thank you. And I was like, kind of like intrigued,
Yeah, sure.
I'm coming to Arizona to hide out.
From a winery snob to a race car son
right.
of a race car
and
driver.
his season was after mine. It was like right after mine.
He was kind of like in that limbo between his time on the show.
And so I'm like, okay, well, if you want to meet up, let me know. I'm in Arizona, hiding out. He hits me up. Let's get together. I'll bring some wine over. We can, talk and share stories, and the rest is history.
So was he a rebound? And the rebound turned into how long were you guys together for?
It was a bad rebound, because I was like, we can't go out in public. Like, I'm in Arizona hiding. Yeah, but... And then, so we hung out at my dad's house. My mom and dad were out of town. So, I just had the place to myself. So we hung out there for a couple nights. We were talking, connecting, having fun. And Ben and I were done. And then one night I was like, let's just go get dinner. And somebody took a picture of us.
Let's go skinny dip.
And they sold it to TMZ. I know. Oh,
you sold it?
We did that. We went swimming in my dad's pool. I mean, I don't know if it was skinny dipping, but...
With a camera on you.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm single, I'm free. And it was really nice to be around somebody who had been through it. And I told him that night, I'm going to write a book. And
so someone took the photo, and then you reached out to TMZ?
So I was driving back to LA, and I see my phone blowing up, and it's Ben. And I'm like, at this point, I haven't talked to him in a week and a half. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, why is he calling? And then I get a text from the producer, Alon. It's like, bring, bring, bring. And then Arie is calling. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I check my email and it's like, the TMZ, I had somebody trying to get me to buy the photo.
Oh, to keep it.
They were going to release this.
Oh, so how much were they telling you it would cost?
I mean, it wasn't in my budget.
50 grand?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Who's got the money
But they released the photo, and
this is when, because this is the golden age when
Yes.
paparazzis they're not worth anything anymore because of Instagram, because people just give the
Yes.
photos away.
they give them away.
But obviously this was a
I
different
think
time.
they sold it for $5,000 to $10,000.
Someone asked me to buy something off of them recently. I was like, you got
know
it.
what? I'm sorry if I told the story backwards, but they called me first, and I was like, I'm not buying it, and then they released
sold
it.
it.
Sorry if I.
No.
We can tweak that, but
Because initially I thought you meant you were going to sell it.
no, I would never. I was like, this is not a good look. I'm like recently single, like.
And you're also from the season, the kind of villainized
Yeah.
as this seductress.
And then it made, like, Ben and I were, like, cool on our breakup, and then, like, it burned the bridge.
Yeah.
He was, like, not happy.
Yeah,
And he
the
was like,
old
was
race
this going
car.
on? Is this why we broke up? Like, was this going on?
The overlap.
And then we created, but Arie and I are cool. We created a friendship, and we were on and off for years.
And look, you're allowed to have a rebound. You're
But
allowed to break up
not
with
after
somebody.
the show, you're not.
Wait, had the show aired yet? Yeah,
no,
the show.
yeah. We had been together for a year.
Oh, okay.
We
So at
just,
that point,
released our breakup.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand the optics would look bad, but like any reasonable person would go, "Oh, you've never broken up with someone and then wanted to get your mind off them with somebody else." I mean, that seems fair, right?
In the normal world.
In the normal world, which you weren't in.
Which I used to do. Like I in my book, I talked about, like, I was always like, I had a 7-year relationship, 2-year, like, I was like a serial, like, monogamous. And that's why I went on the show. Like, I currently have what I've always wanted, like a family with kids. And it took me a while to get there, but like I would jump from one relationship to the next. And that's what I did with Arie. But I never said I love you to Arie. It was a little bit more just like fun. And that's what I needed after. And somebody who could relate to what we've been through.
Someone who's been in a situation that was also complicated. You got to dodge the cameras.
And he didn't care. I felt like Ben really was affected by the villain edit. And Arie was like, I love that about you. Like, he celebrated that. And he that kind of came through on his season. Like, he's very much like no fuss. Like, he doesn't care about the haters.
Yeah. Oh, Arie doesn't?
No.
I mean,
and
yeah.
he helped build me up when I needed it.
I mean, Arie's season, you have to give him credit for the way it turned out, but that was a dumpster fire.
Well, I knew all about what was going on. We were very close at the time.
You knew that he was in this sort of who do I choose thing?
No, he came back and he told me everything, and he said
once he had done the old switcheroo, pulled back. So essentially,
no, he told me he was engaged. I talked to him when he was with Becca.
So you knew he was engaged to Becca, and
he
then
told me she came to visit.
And then within that safe house time period is when he had decided Lauren. But didn't he ask Lauren first, like, "Hey, would you take me back before breaking up with Becca?" Or was it all just kind of like layered, happening at the same time? Because it can happen at the same time. You could be like, "Hey, are you going to do this?"
He was liking her photos on Instagram, and he was still with Becca, and the people picked up on that, and
they certainly will.
And not to like overshare on his story, but I felt for him because I had been the villain. I was like, "Arie, this is going to be really bad for you," and he's like, "But they're telling me if I break up with her that she could be the Bachelorette," and I'm like, "Got it," but he was like, "I knew instantly I should have picked Lauren." And this is when he came back. This is like the first time me seeing him and he was so skinny. He came back from filming, which they lose a bunch of weight. And I was like, well, good for you. But like, this is not going to be good. Like, for you. And he was liking her photos, and he didn't tell me he DM'd her, but he told me after the fact that, Becca had the sweetheart date and, like the pretty woman date. And like, she got to buy all the stuff. And then as soon as it happened, and she sent everything to his house in Scottsdale.
Yikes.
And they give you these like date cards. This is a little good tea for the listeners.
Did she rip it up?
It was all in there. But they give you like talking points on the dates. And like, I mean, I won't overshare here, but like, it was like, he had said something like they had to give us talking points with me and Lauren, like for us of things to talk about, and she wrote a bunch of them out and put that with the Pretty Woman stuff and the jewelry and sent it to his house. How badass is that?
That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Well,
That's some good tea.
It's one of those things. Thank you for that tea. You like to
I
know.
love my tea.
I mean, you like to know that if you're going to get dumped, broken up with, it's kind of like the Vanderpump Rules. It's like Ariana gets cheated on, and well, she makes $1 million off of it. If you can monetize the sympathy that people are going to feel for you, then that's great. Now,
and his whole thing was like, I made a mistake. Like, I want Becca to be the Bachelorette. And I supported him through that, and then he did it, and I watched it. It was like a slow-moving car crash, but they're happy now.
Yeah,
and Becca's like pregnant.
And Becca's pregnant, so it all worked out. But obviously,
I had to I was like showing houses for him when he was on his honeymoon with Lauren, and it was just a weird time, like being his friend and then like supporting him and being like.
Is Lauren okay with your friendship? Having sort
of... I don't know. That's a good question. I've met her a couple times. We went on a double date. I was single before I met my husband. And I was dating a guy that was actually on Ashley Abear's season, night 1.
Okay.
Great guy. Invited him to a wedding, and he ghosted me. Didn't show up to the wedding.
Wow.
Ouch. And,
ghosted by a night 1 guy.
Yeah, his name was John.
That's got to be a bad feeling.
Yeah, it was not good.
That's not good.
And I was single, and I actually texted Ben. Ben was a great, and we were kind of in that, like, we were just like reconnecting. I was like, can you come to a wedding with me in Pasadena? And
oh my gosh.
We had already realized like that wasn't going to work out again. And he was like, I'm actually in LA, but I think he was probably like with a girl, and he was like, I can't come. But yeah.
You have such a web of Bachelor
what
stories.
What a twisted web we weave.
Yeah, no, we're already at half an hour, so I got to get you home. I got to get you back to your party here. But
I'm never here, so I was like, I'm celebrating, but I have to do Driving with Dave.
No, I appreciate it so much. I have a few questions I want to ask you. One, do you feel any bitterness that you had to deal with all the villain stuff, but kind of when the show became really monetizable? Like now, because if you look at people from like 3 or 4 seasons ago,
right.
You had people like Becca Martinez, who wasn't even a finalist of any sorts, able to get 1 million followers. Rachel Kirkconnell, 1 million followers.
Yeah.
They're making bank, but your season was obviously before social media really you earned those follows.
If you look at that pedestrian, hello, honey, look up. Yeah. Everybody's on their
phone, and they're just not afraid of getting a little poke.
Yeah, we'll tap you in there.
But yeah, how does that feel? Or do you just like, yeah?
You know what? It's not bitter, but like I see people, like I just interviewed somebody the other day, and they have like 1 million followers, and I feel like that would be a lot of pressure for me because I wasn't in that world. So like I don't know what it feels like to have 1 million followers.
Yeah.
But like I think monetizing it, I didn't do that as well as I could have, other than the book. I mean, my book deal was $50,000, and I still get residuals, so that was cool. Because my modeling career went to shit after the show.
And
that was hard for me.
Because brands didn't want to associate with you.
Like I worked for Target, and they're like, I worked for them regular. It was like my bread and butter, like $2,500 a day. But you live in LA, so it's relative. Like my rent was $1,900, so like I needed that consistent, like where my money's coming from. And they're like, we're just gonna put a pin in this, like. We're going to let this blow over. And then it didn't really ever blow over.
What a bummer.
I know, it was a bummer for me. And I kept telling Ben, he's like, I thought I fell in love with this successful model. I'm like, you did, but...
Oh my gosh.
But so like bitter as far as the social media stuff goes, like I've managed it the best way that I can. I don't have a personal assistant. Like I share, like for me, it's fun.
But now you're back in the game. You got a new podcast, which we're here to promote.
After Reality. I'm having fun with it.
You're having great. You're doing a great job of getting interviews.
And I appreciate your advice. I really do.
I don't even know what I told you, but
but it's like a skill set that like you have to learn. Like
yeah, you got to spend time doing it. A lot of people quit their podcast 7 episodes in.
I don't want to do that. I'm on 2nd season.
Yeah,
and we hit the top charts this week.
Congratulations!
I don't know what that means though. Like
new subscribers are always the best thing you can get. So keep on telling people to subscribe, and that's what helps you rise the charts.
That's amazing.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, you're out there with a perspective.
I would love to monetize it more.
Of course,
because it's not going away.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that just happens over time as people build you into their schedule, and they'll be like, all right, what day do you release, or is it random?
Wednesday, and then I'm going to do a 20-minute episode every Friday.
There you go. So people
Courtney's Corner.
There you go. Perfect. So people, and we'll post a link in the description here so people can go check it out. A few more questions though. On your podcast, you were interviewing Sean Booth, which was a great conversation, but not about Sean Booth.
I was stoked to have him.
You called Nick Viall a weasel. Bill and said he ghosted you. So what's with these men ghosting you?
You know, I met Nick Viall years ago. He was like, I'm going to be in LA. I still have the Twitter DMs. And he's like, I want to meet you, villain to villain. This was before he went on.
Villain to villain? Did he say that?
I mean, he didn't say that, but like,
that's what it
he's
was.
like, we have a lot in common. I was like, sure, come by. I was in a relationship at the time with a therapist. That's another story for a different day. But anyway, he came by to my place in Santa Monica, my little bungalow. We had a drink and we met. And that was the last time I saw him.
No kissing?
No.
It wasn't one of those kind of...
It wasn't smoochy poo. It wasn't romantic.
But was there a chance for romance, or was it just business?
I was open to it, but I was like in this like relationship, and I was like, I'm dating a therapist, and it was like kind of on the way out, and he's like, oh, you shouldn't date a therapist. Like, they are the worst. They're trying to fix themselves. And he did his like ass Nick thing, like to me, like he was like giving me advice, which was, like his thing. That's his thing.
Absolutely.
But like I've asked him to come, like he said he would come on my podcast. I was like, let's promote your book. And then he's just been ghosting me. So now I'm calling him on the end of my podcast. I'm like, maybe he doesn't get my text. So I'm going to just call him.
Oh, I think he does. But
I just feel like it's like one-sided. Like I asked Caitlin to come on and she just sent me an emoji after my episode came out with Sean Booth. And it was the one that like was like the just kind of neutral face emoji.
So people are picking sides.
I know.
Well, I mean...
She said she can maybe come on in June. I get that they're busy. We're all busy.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hound you. Like, you want to come on, you want to have fun. Like, we're all in this together.
I talked about this today on a YouTube video. I cited your example, talking to Sean Booth, that, like, when you're an alumni of the show, you all have something in common, and you should all support each other.
Right.
If someone has a podcast, you should do it. I mean, even if it doesn't serve you, and I feel like no one owes me anything. I'm not on the show. Yeah, but, with Nick, they need to know that they hit the lottery by getting where they were, and anyone who is on Bachelor could have been in that position. And to me, you would just want to make sure that you go out of your way, even if it doesn't benefit you, to kind of help each other out. That's just my thought.
And I feel like Caitlin really does that. Like, she's always talking about like women, like I'm a girl, and like it's not like just like drop everything for me, but like I've been asking her for months, and like. So, and like Julian Harris is going to come on, like, like I've got like Justin Long is going to come on, like, he's a Bachelor fan.
Yeah,
and Jim Jeffries, when we were in Vegas, remember, he's going to come on. Like, I'm like, hey, like, I'm not going to hound you. Like, you get it. Like, I'm a one-man band. Like, I'm trying to like do all of it. Like,
I take all that personally though.
I know.
And I wasn't even on the show. You should take it personally. I like to rile people.
I have 2 kids. But I'm like,
trying to pay some bills. Let's go.
And I've had podcasts, like I had somebody from Love is Blind coming on and then they didn't show up. And I'm like, I had to pay a babysitter to be here. I had to like, and like, it's like,
it's a business.
My pet peeve is like, I value your time. And like, Caitlin's never asked me on mine, Nick's never. And then, so that's the thing. I asked Nick on mine and he goes, can you come out here? I only do in person. And I was like, it was the day after the Super Bowl. I'm like, my husband's like, do it, Courtney. Like, you need to for yours. And I'm like, I cannot leave my kid like last minute. But it was very much so like, he wasn't going to do it unless I do mine, unless I did his.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But these are the podcast wars that we talk about.
Right.
This is it. Like, no one's asked me to be on. I mean, okay, I didn't.
Will you come on mine?
I would love to.
I'm asking you right now.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Will you come on my podcast?
Yeah. People, my
when
people,
my voice is back?
My people will show up. But I
appreciate that. You're gonna come to. We're after this. You're coming to my birthday party.
Done. We're going right now.
Yeah.
I had Nick, and again, it sounds salty, but it's just like you just don't forget.
It is a little salty.
He called me up to tell me he loved what I was doing and everything, and of course I knew he was just trying to keep tabs on me. But it's like, well, if you love me so much, invite me on.
He's a little weasel.
No offense to
someone. He's a little weasel. That's what a weasel does.
It's weaselly.
Sorry, not sorry.
And look, I'll take Courtney Robertson any day of the week, because to me, I'd rather have loyalty come down. I'd rather sink the ship.
I'm true and blue.
There it is, true and blue, and no skinny dipping today. We're gonna use the pool proper.
Yeah.
But
we're at the Ritz, and we are gonna stay classy.
Super classy.
Let's keep it classy.
I'm so excited to go hang out. Let me go around here. And thank you so much for doing the show today. You did Driving with Dave. This was
time. I mean, I'm not in LA very often, but. Sorry, my voice cracked out. I think that's a sign of a good time, though.
Yeah, you'll have to come back because we only broke the surface. But thanks. Okay, I'll
get my fanny pack.
Perfect.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.